Broadcasting live. It's America's longest running talk show on computers. It's Computer America, bringing you the biggest names in technology with guest interviews, new products, and your emails. Listen live at computeramerica.com on any device around the world. Email the show at live@computeramerica.com or find us on social media. Be sure to check out our website for contests, giveaways, show notes, live video stream, podcasts, and more. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello and welcome everyone into the Computer America Show. We are the nation's longest running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers and technology turned podcast. Everyone, welcome to the program. I hope that you're doing well and you are ready for today's show. Because today we have, of course, Ralph Bond. Ralph Bond joins us every single Friday to bring us some fun, uplifting news. Some stories that have probably not, and don't get me wrong, once in a while we get a story that, has captured headlines, but I think everyone could use a little refresher past the headline because I know that's all we read. But still, Ralph finds 4 amazing stories that he, gives you the Cliff Notes for and really should bring you stories that you have not heard of before, and these are really cool. Some of them involve AI, some of them involve new technologies, some of them, a lot of them are green technology in ways that we are going to hopefully survive the catastrophes of the other stories that you may read throughout the week. So everyone, welcome to the program, computeramerica.com. That's where you'll find everything, including the show notes. By the time that you are hearing this, you can, of course, follow along in the show notes over at the website. And, of course, you can find everything and anything in those show notes. So if you're busy, if you're driving, if you can't get there, hey, don't worry about it. It's all right there, just waiting for you. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, let's just go ahead and get started with this show. And I think first we bring on Ralph, who is again our science and technology correspondent, and he joins us to uplift our spirits here going into the weekend. So Ralph, welcome back onto the program. How you been?
I'm doing great. And again, folks, come out to computeramerica.com. Get those show notes because it's going to have the links, the photos, everything we're going to talk about. And what Ben and I do every Friday, if you're new to the show, what we do is highlight 4 recent articles that show us key trends and developments in artificial intelligence, robotics, medical technology, sustainable energy technology, transportation advances, agricultural technology, space research, physics. Wow, all across the board. Most important of all, especially given the news world we live in these days, which is very dark and depressing often. But what we're going to do is give you an oasis of positive news thanks to the world of science and technology.
Absolutely. So, and I was just kind of perusing the stories, and story number 3, ladies and gentlemen, very fun. It's AI, but it's just really, really cool. So, story number 1, though, we'll start there, and then we'll work our way through. But story number 1, we're going to talk about. It looks like alien technology, but hey, it may be coming to a sky near you. So, Ralph, let's talk about Blackbird.
Yes, this is really fun. This comes from livescience.com. Headline: Meet Blackbird, a flying taxi that spins and moves in any direction thanks to a new propulsion system. Now, a little qualifier here. You're going to find out this propulsion system that's used in this aircraft, which is really remarkable and very cool looking, by the way, is inspired by the kind of propulsion widely used on tugboats and ferries. What? Basically, the engineers of this company looked at that technology and said, hey, wait a minute, it could be applied to aviation. Amazing story. Lots of good videos and links in the show notes. Check it out. But let's get into the story. A new type of flying car could soon be ferrying passengers through the skies using a novel propulsion technology. On November the 5th, so very recently, last month, Cyclotech, an Austrian company that builds flying car components, unveiled blueprints for its new Blackbird demonstrator aircraft, a flying car that uses a custom-made alternative to propellers. That's the key. And note, this is a new aircraft in development, not something available today. This is a good example of a trend or a kind of a bleeding edge glimpse into the future that Ben and I do every Friday with some of these stories. Dubbed the cyclorotor, this all-electric propulsion system is based on the principle of the Voith, V-O-I-T-H, Snyder propeller, which is frequently used on tugboats and ferries. It's a circular rotor with small propeller blades inside, which can spin around and can be used for both propulsion and steering. Okay, so in the show notes, and this is what I do with the show notes, I inject additional information because a lot of times the authors of these articles assume the audience knows all this stuff. Well, I certainly don't, and I inject stuff to help educate me and hopefully you as well. So in the show notes, I have a side note to learn more about the Voith Snyder propeller technology, so you can check that out. So here's the deal. By moving the center around which the propeller blades spin, the aircraft can change its airspeed and direction. And once again, you really need to see the videos like Ben is showing you right now to understand what we're talking about. It's very hard to envision.
Yeah, and what I'm showing is actually not exactly a video. It's I guess on their site, and anyone can go try it themselves. They have a little flight simulator where you can actually, kind of steer your own version of their vehicle around and see how it kind of works. It's and those center propellers, make a lot more sense when you kind of see this. Very interesting.
Yeah, it's very curious. And I love the idea that they said, well, this is the way ferries and tugboats can do their incredible maneuvering. Say, maybe we can use this for aircraft, and bingo, they did. So each propeller blade can also be angled to produce directional thrust, like the wing of an craft, and can be precisely aligned to send the aircraft in specific directions or rotate midair, as Ben is demonstrating with the little simulator you can play with.
Yeah.
The cyclorotors will greatly enhance the Blackbird's demonstrator's maneuverability, enabling it to move or spin in any direction while airborne, and also perform sharp corrections to its trajectory with added precision. Wow. And this can also improve the comfort and safety of passengers on any flight in windy or other inclement weather conditions. That's another key advantage of this aircraft propulsion system. And now, this is bleeding edge stuff here. Twinkle of the eye. The Blackbird demonstrator is still in development, but Cyclotech released several promotional videos showing the cyclorotor technology being used to levitate and propel scale models. And I'm going to give you just a shopping list here of some of the highlights of this Blackbird experimental in development craft. It will have 6 electrically driven 7th generation cyclorotor propellers, if you will, propulsion systems, I should say, 360-degree maneuverability. It's going to be 4.9 meters in length, 2.3 meters in width, and 2 meters in height. Maximum takeoff weight will be about 750 pounds. Flight speed will be about 75 miles per hour. That's pretty good. Braking and stopping, it can do that in mid-flight. Pitch angle in hover up to 30 degrees. Aviation people get that. Precision landing even in adverse weather conditions. That's critical. And landing on inclined surfaces. It can do that as well. So you can your brain just goes on and on. You can have taxis, but what about rescue vehicles? What about emergency vehicles? What about police response? This could be really an interesting alternative to helicopters.
Yeah, it's, and obviously, I think anyone who's kind of looked at helicopters knows that they're pretty dangerous. Like, they tend to want to explode. Like, they're the forces that helicopters exert, they want to kind of tear themselves apart, and it's only through very strong engineering that they don't. And Ralph, like, I'm wondering, like, if they're going to make these things fully automated, because like that right now seems to be my biggest question is, like, there's only room for 2 people in this thing, and if you have to have a pilot, like, you only have room for 1 person. I'm curious, like, is this thing going to be fully automated, like almost like a drone? Is this thing going to be driven by someone, and you ferry around 1 person? I mean, the concepts are very cool. Scale models, very nice. I'm I truly, truly hope that within a couple of years we see a full scale version of this thing because it looks so cool.
Yeah, it's if nothing else, it's just a fascinating and super clever way of taking a technology again from tugboats and ferries and say, how can we apply the same basic concept to create an entirely different propulsion system? Wow.
Yeah, for sure. The website also shows that they are thinking about using that same technology and that center the center rotor and adding it to UAV, so like drones, and it would make the maneuverability of drones much better as well. So yeah. Hey, very, very cool. And vertical takeoff and landing vehicles are definitely a key trend to watch. Like they're not here yet, but they are coming for sure. A lot of companies are putting a lot of resources into bringing them to you. So story number 1, very futuristic. Story number 2, and it's, this is less futuristic because we've seen these things in action today. And this one, although has the help of AI, and this is, of all the bad things that AI can do and has done, and if you browse social media, you've seen so much garbage AI content just generated. Ralph, I read a headline like a month ago saying that now half of all content on social media, as in like pictures and videos and stuff like that, is generated by AI. Like, it's already having very serious effects on your daily surfing habits. But the good side of AI is that it can make things better very, very, very quickly. So story number 2, I think, is an example of that, where you just get some more efficiency out of something that, we've seen variations of before.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally right on target with that. So this comes from ZME Science via MSN.com. And the headline here, researchers present the first fully AI-designed wind turbine. It's 7 times more efficient in cities. So let's step back for a second before we dive into the story and set the stage. When we think about wind turbines, you usually think about those gigantic things with huge blades out in the wilderness or out in the mountains or out in the desert or whatever, doing their thing, spinning around. That's great. Also, you think about maybe small urban, small home-based or city-based turbines. And that's what this story is all about. And these researchers were looking at how can we make those smaller turbines much more efficient. Answer turned to artificial intelligence. So let's get into the story here and flesh it out. Wind energy is a cornerstone of renewable transition, of course, to fight climate change. But while scaling wind turbines up has proven effective for large-scale applications, scaling them down for urban environments remains a significant challenge. That's the key here that these researchers looked at. With wind speeds in cities often as low as 3 to 4 meters per second, are about 2 to 3 times lower than the efficiency sweet spot for conventional turbines. To unlock wind energy's potential in urban areas, new designs must cater specifically to those lower speeds and turbulent conditions. So they were looking at the very unique situation when you have an urban environment versus a open field where these giant wind turbines we usually think about are placed. So enter the AI design turbine. The system we're going to talk about takes into consideration the wind conditions of the city where it's meant to be deployed, in this case, Birmingham in the United Kingdom, and optimizes the design to account for these unique specific conditions in a specific city environment. Keep that in mind. The new wind turbine, which boasts an unorthodox but efficient design, was developed by a research group at the University of Birmingham. And it also is the result of a collaboration with AI design specialists Evo Phase and precision metal fabricators QuickFab Ltd. And in the show notes, this is why the show notes are so important. Come out to computeramerica.com, get the show notes, because I embed links to all of these different companies and collaborators that are referenced in this story. So going on, the design involves curved blades spinning around a central point, and you can see that in the image Ben's showing you on the screen right now. And and here's the key, the AI-driven approach proved transformative. It enabled the researchers to generate, test, and refine over 2,000 designs in just weeks, an achievement that would take way more time and money using traditional methods. Ha! It's so great.
Yeah, even at the very least, you would have to generate them in a computer model and then test them one by one. Yeah, so the rapid iteration is, unique to AI. It's very cool.
Yeah, and again, I want to stress that what they're doing is they're looking at the wind and conditions of the specific location in Birmingham and feeding that into the data and then running these amazing simulations, 2,000 designs in just a couple of weeks to find what the AI says is the optimal solution. So the result is a turbine that is up to 7 times more efficient than existing designs in Birmingham's urban environment, according to their initial tests. So they've had small-scale wind turbines in the city to date, but they're saying what they've come up with, thanks to AI, is 7 times more efficient. It's very significant. The AI-designed wind turbine will now be left in operation in Birmingham to assess its real-life performance, and the researchers are confident they can make a wind turbine for every city with ease based on their research and the use of AI. The team is already working on a wind turbine tailor-made for the city of Edinburgh in Scotland, which has very different wind conditions than Birmingham. So you see how this bit, they now are confident they can customize wind turbines for every unique urban environment. Amazing.
Yeah, it's not even just, and Ralph, I never really thought about that. Like with traditional turbines, just to, again, kind of reiterate, it's like with traditional turbines, you just find a big open field and you find, maybe offshore winds, big, nice wind conditions, and you put your standard wind turbine out. This is more custom to, what you're going to see. And also, like Ralph, I'm not going to say this is art, but it looks very, very nice. Like it if you saw that, you wouldn't say, what an eyesore, we got to hide that behind like fake walls or something.
Good point.
No, it's a very nice looking turbine, and hey, maybe provide 7 times more efficiency, 7 times more electricity. Very, very cool. It does remind me of that story, Ralph. I think it was in the UK or something like that. They have like bus lanes, and they were putting wind turbines in between the bus lanes, and the wind from the passing buses would spin the turbines and improve efficiency. Little things like that are going to add up over the years, over the decades, and really help us with our mission for green. So very, very cool story.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. What you were thinking about real quick was in Istanbul, they put
that was it.
Columnar wind turbines in the median in their freeways.
Yes.
And just amazingly simple and brilliant idea.
Absolutely. So there you go. And AI, of course, helping once again. So story number 2. Speaking of AI, story number 3, this is the one that I was really having fun with, and because it has fun videos as well. This World Labs is what we're going to talk about. And, seeing the video, seeing the video is going to make the story really come to life, but we can at least talk about it. So Ralph, story number 3.
Absolutely. Another great reason to come out and get the show notes so you can get the links to see what we're going to be showing on the screen if you're listening to us as a podcast. So this comes from TechCrunch.com. Headline, World Labs, that's the name of the company, World Labs, AI can generate interactive 3D scenes from a single photo or image, more correctly said. And we've got tons of links. We've got videos that Ben is showing you right now. Here's the story. Startup company World Labs has unveiled its first project, an AI system that can generate video game-like 3D scenes from a single image. Now, lots of AI systems, such as Wonderworld, can turn a photo into 3D models and environments, but World Labs scenes are unique in that they're interactive and modifiable. World Labs wrote in a blog post, art technology lets you step into any image and explore it in 3D. Beyond the input image, all is generated. And again, you have to see this to get how profound this is. The AI-generated scenes, which anyone with a keyboard and mouse can explore in a demo on World Labs' website, look impressive, but a little bit cartoonish, as the author says. They're rendered live in the browser and have a controllable camera with an adjustable simulated depth of field. The stronger the depth of field effect, the blurrier the background objects appear. And World Labs' system is part of an emerging category of artificial intelligence called world models. So they're not the only game in town in terms of people looking at this. We're going to find out more about that. But think about this emerging category called world models. It opens up a whole new world, no pun intended, of possibilities. And many of these models can simulate games and 3D environments, but with artifacting and consistency issues. So this is early technology. It's not perfect, but the implications, I think, are amazing. For example, Startup Descartes, that's DECARTS, Startup Descartes' Minecraft simulating world model called Oasis has a low resolution and quickly forgets the layout of levels, but it is really fun to play with. I embedded a link in the show notes. You can go and play around with that, and that is fun. In contrast, World Labs' approach ensures that scenes remain the same once they're generated and that they obey the basic laws of physics, meaning they have a sense of solidity and depth. That's the key for their contribution. And World Labs' system can also apply interactive effects and animations to scenes, like changing the color of objects and dynamically lighting backdrops. Wow.
Yeah.
It's been fun. Oh, yeah, you're playing around with the Minecraft thing. That's fun.
Yeah, it's something that there's mute. 1 second. Mute. There we go. It's one of these things that, like, when I was looking at it, and the Minecraft one was the one that I immediately kind of thought about, and very low res, like, you can play Minecraft. So Ralph, like, when you do this, obviously it keeps what you're looking at the exact same, and then you kind of look up and it's a completely different environment. Or if you look directly at the sun, it will start to, kind of create the game in a completely different way. You can look around now, you see there's mountains and stuff. That lack of permanence makes this almost unusable for, from a video game kind of perspective. Although, you can play the game. And I would love to see more. And like you said, this is it's a very early research, very early step.
Right.
But the example that you were kind of giving, they're very locked. You can't really get very far before the game kind of blocks you from doing stuff. AI needs to be able to generate something and then keep it in its memory, and then let you kind of build off that again and again and again. Yeah. So I guess this is like the first step to that. We're not there yet, but Ralph, it won't be, like, we can already imagine a world where Ralph, in his spare time, you were creating AI stories for your grandkids, and you were creating, AI artwork for them. What about when you can just say, I'm going to make them a video game, and you can, just type it out, say what you want, say that, what the mission is, what the character is, and you can just make a video game just by talking to a program. That's not that far off in the future.
Yeah,
like, we're not there yet.
It's astonishing. It really is. It's just amazing. And to your point, you're right on target, because the author of the article says, now certainly there's room for improvement. World Labs scenes aren't fully explorable. Your movements are limited to a small area. Yeah. Try moving outside of it and you'll hit a boundary. And there's the occasional rendering error, for example, objects that blend together in unnatural ways. But World Labs says that this is only an early preview. To your point, this is just the bleeding edge of this whole world. And I've injected a side note that's not part of the article. To check out DeepMind, Google's AI research organization, has unveiled a model that can generate an endless variety of playable 3D worlds. So this is part of a kind of a movement, if you will. And I have 2 links in the show notes to learn more about DeepMind's technology in comparison, or along with what we're talking about moments ago. So check that out. This is a really interesting trend.
Yeah, it really is. It's for anyone out there who makes video games, keep doing what you're doing. I promise, you won't be out of a job, but it will kind of raise the floor in saying that, you don't have to obviously to make a good video game, probably you need, a lot of, a lot of education, schooling and whatnot, but to create just a video game that might be coming to everyone, and hey, a lot of cool ideas can come from that.
Yes.
Because Ralph, I don't know how closely you follow the gaming space, but especially in recent years, like you think the biggest games are, AAA studios, 100, 150, $200 million spent. But no, some of the biggest games every year are from very dedicated, small 1 to 5 to 10 people. And they create something truly innovative and fun. So, hey, maybe we'll get a lot more of that. And that's exciting. So, story number 3, very cool. AI coming to the rescue. Story number 4. And for anyone out there who struggles putting in their contact lenses, this might not be for you. But for everyone else who's like, I got that all day long. What if that's how you got your drugs? Who knows? Story number 4.
Yeah, this is a good one. And again, traditionally, the 4th story every week for us that Ben and I do has something to do with medical technology. And this one fits the bill beautifully. This comes from medicalexpress.com. Headline, 3D printed hydrogel enables continuous drug delivery via contact lenses. Wow, very cool. And there's some really geeky stuff going on here in terms of how they're doing this. But these article says, the next time you need to take a prescription drug, taking it might be as easy as putting on a contact lens, thanks to a new discovery made by the University of Waterloo researchers in Ontario, Canada. The team of researchers, which spans Waterloo's Department of Chemistry and its School of Optometry and Vision Science, this team created a new type of hydrogel that can deliver drugs to patients with various eye issues when 3D printed onto a contact lens. Wow. The hydrogel, a type of gel that can retain significant volumes of water, is silicone-based and can help control the amount of medication a person would need, continuously delivering it as long as the contact lens is worn. This is such an interesting idea for distributing medication. In this case, I think primarily for the treatment of eye issues is what I understand is the case. And using these hydrogel-loaded contact lenses could help physicians reduce pain and the number of times the patient has to apply the drug, as the medication is delivered during normal contact lens wear. Wow. Even though silicone can be tricky to 3D print, this new hydrogel is different. It uses a special type of silicone that easily attracts water and is curable with UV light. Wow. There's so much more detail, by the way, folks. We're just giving you the skipping the stone over the highlights here. You can dive deeper to learn more about how they actually did this. But after curing, the gel is both flexible and durable enough to keep its shape after being stretched or compressed. A lead researcher on the University of Waterloo team noted, quote, once we knew the hydrogel had good strength and flexibility, we decided to test its ability to hold and release drugs by using amoxicillin, a commonly prescribed antibiotic for ailments related to the eye. Wow. Such a great achievement. And wow, it's just another example of all these clever ideas about distributing medication, putting medication into your body through magnetically guided tablets. We've talked about so many different technologies for distributing medication or treatments, and this one's really clever through a contact lens.
From a personal standpoint, this seems like I would rather just have an injection, but I don't know, like
me too,
Ralph. I wore glasses for like ever since I was like 9 until I was like 30. I never once wore contacts because just touching my eye was just something that I've never really been able to do. But for those out there who have, glaucoma or have these other, continuous ailments of the eyes, hey, this can be a real game changer because really nothing changes in your day to day. And hey, you get the medication that you need more targeted, more directly. A lot of benefits from it. And of course, Ralph, I'm sure the technology that, you mentioned that we lightly touched on, the printing of the hydrogel has applications even beyond contact. This is just the first step of it. So,
Right.
Very cool story. Story number 4. Now, because that's story number 4, ladies and gentlemen, we try to keep the shows a little bit, more condensed, a little tighter, and we've been doing a very good job of that lately. But that means that we can't get to all the stories that Ralph finds. He finds a lot of fun stories that are just as good, just as great. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're out there and you're one of these researchers that wrote one of these and you're like, oh, I only made the honorable mentions, I gotta change my entire coursework and try to get into the top 4. No, it's not a top 4. Honorable mentions are just as good. We just don't have time. So story number, we're going to go over, just read the the headlines. If you want to find out more, they are in the show notes. You can go find them, computeramerica.com. Ralph, let's go ahead and do the headlines.
Yeah, so every week we have 4 honorable mentions to complement the 4 main stories, as it were. This one comes from CNET. Headline, new super stretchy organic LED could make cars and even clothes more sci-fi. It's a little fun kind of a tease headline. What we're talking about is stretchable, deformable, thin, flexible display. Organic LED displays, really profound. It's the headline's kind of tongue-in-cheek, but this is really very profound. So check that story out. I highly encourage you to learn more about this technology. Mm-hmm. The next one comes from phys.org. Headline, new method uses artificial intelligence to design artificial proteins. Another very important step forward in a whole host of applications and possibilities.
Very much
artificial proteins.
Yeah, very much in line with Google's efforts to have everyday ordinary people work with scientists to fold proteins and manipulate proteins. A lot of application on the back end, but of course using AI to rapidly not innovate, rapidly iterate. One of its strong suits. So very cool.
Yeah, and the third one here, the headline literally says, whoa, scientists made animal cells do photosynthesis? What? Whoa, this is freaky. From Popular Science, this is a very interesting and fun scientific breakthrough.
Emphasis on green technology. It might be turning the lizards green. Absolutely.
Yeah, we're making animals do photosynthesis. What? Mm-hmm. That's pretty cool. Now, this is early research. They're talking about animal cells doing photosynthesis, not the entire creature. And they're turning
the frogs plants. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, that's it. This last one comes from newaatlas.com. Headline, unique Aussie, Australia, box wing all-electric vertical takeoff and landing aircraft promises radical efficiency and huge range. But here's the key. It's powered by hydrogen. Ben, you and I are seeing more and more and more research, developments, and interest in hydrogen for vehicles of all kinds. And here we have a box wing. The article really explains what that's all about. Think about box kites. It's based on that principle, but powered by hydrogen. A really interesting aviation innovation.
Absolutely. And hey, it's again, science and technology trends. It's a convergence of trends where we have vertical takeoff and landing as well as hydrogen. And hey, Ralph, I think you do a good job every single Friday of showing us that technology is heading in certain directions and it will get there. It is getting there every single day and it's getting better. I can't think of a better show to kind of lead out on a Friday than these because, ladies and gentlemen, hey, the world, it's going to be okay. We're all going to be okay. So until next time, I want to thank you so much, Ralph, for coming on. Everyone out there, computeramerica.com one last time. If you want to find the show notes and all the links, we'll catch you here every single Friday. Until then, have a good one. Bye, everyone.